There was always the undercurrent of danger for me being a female within that environment.
I was this vulnerable young girl and I had to line up and be chosen.
I was criminally exploited from about 15 and a half.
I knew it wasn't right what was happening. I just didn't know how I was going to get out of it.
It's like invisible chains that you've got on you. In your mind, there's no way out. I was actually in a lot of danger.
Hi, I'm Isabel.
Hi Isabel, I'm Melanie.
Melanie, would you be able to tell us about your experience with child exploitation and how that kind of first started for you?
Growing up in a dysfunctional home, I saw and witnessed a lot of violence. My dad was an alcoholic and my mum went through much trauma, and so did our siblings at home. This led to my behaviour to be very dysfunctional, getting into the wrong crowd of people, taking drugs and alcohol at a very young age. It was the norm to me and it took away all my problems and everything that I was feeling at the time. I moved into a foyer, which is a supported living, at the age of 16, and that's where it all started.
Hi, I am Tamara, I play Grace Black, and you are?
I'm Sabrina, I'm a county lines and exploitation educator. I was criminally exploited from a young age, so from about 15 and a half. I grew up in a household, wasn't very stable, it wasn't really a good environment, let's say, for children to grow up in, so I was constantly running away. And then when I finally ran away from home, just before my 16th birthday, I was placed into an adults hostel, a mixed adults hostel. And then, I met someone there, and then I was exploited from there.
Life at home, well, it wasn't good, was it?
No.
So when Dylan said I could crash at his new place, I jumped at the chance.
At Causeway, we support survivors of exploitation who have experienced that may be very recently, maybe many years ago.
People who have been exploited, trafficked, victims of modern slavery.
Could you explain to me what is child exploitation?
A predatory individual, an adult, or a group of people use and abuse children either into committing crimes and exploit them to sell drugs or things like that, or child sexual exploitation when they sexually abuse them in order to make money through various different ways.
Well, these boys are demanding the very best, and they'll pay top dollar for it too. So we'll need someone extra special for this party.
Oh, I am one step ahead of you.
Grace, what are we doing here?
You are at a party, all right? You're having fun, you're laughing. You are not the same scared little girl you were yesterday. I thought that's exactly what you wanted.
My friend was one of my best friends and she had an older boyfriend. Mm-hmm. He was into drugs, he was into probably selling drugs, and he was into having weapons and stuff like that. That's where it all started, and I was being made to go to brothels in London. I was this vulnerable young girl, 16, 17, and I had to line up and be chosen to sleep with males or do things with males which I didn't want to do.
Well, I thought we was in a relationship. Mm-hmm. Obviously now I know he wasn't, but that's how it started, as like the boyfriend material, as it were. I was just helping out my boyfriend. It's always very subtle. So for me, it started off as, could you go and drop something off? Could you go and pick something up? I've been doing that for a while. They've now asked me to do something.
What would happen if you didn't do it? If you, or did you feel like you couldn't say no?
So I personally felt like I couldn't say no, where there was a lot of, again, like I said, there was a lot of violence. I'd seen things that had happened to other girls, things that happened to boys.
He took my friend out the car and he physically beat her black and blue. And he said, if you don't continue to do what I'm doing and telling you what to do, then this is going to happen to you or worse. So for me, this was like, I didn't know how to escape or what to do.
Where I had been committing crime, not because I wanted to, but I was exploited to commit crime. I felt there was no one that I could really turn to ask for help, because I thought I'll get in trouble because I have committed crime. So that made me not speak up. Yeah, literally, it's trapped, and it feels like, I think the best way to describe it is like invisible chains that you've got on you.
I knew I was in danger.
Yeah.
I knew it wasn't right what was happening, and I just didn't know how I was going to get out of it.
Hi everyone, I'm Isabel and I'm here today with Anya and some sixth form students from Lipper. And today we are going to be talking about exploitation and find out a bit about what they know, what they've been taught, to link in with our current storyline.
Media as a whole, specifically like film and TV, is such a critical way of educating people. Me personally, you kind of put yourself in that situation because you are invested in the characters, and it hits home a bit more.
Education is literally like a preventative measure. Like you teach kids that this is what this is, they can suddenly look at their life and go, is this happening to me? Because it's so much more common than you actually think.
We had no idea how common it was. We were so ignorant to how much it's actually happening.
It's not subject to one group of people. Like, I think it's easy to think, it's only going to happen to this group of vulnerable people, but it's not.
I think social media is a big part of that as well, because of the easy access young people get, and also the anonymity from the predators.
I think everyone has been taught from high school about, online safety and all that, and so we do know the basics, but you don't really know exactly what they're going to come up with.
People younger and younger are on social media as well, which makes them even more vulnerable because they maybe are too young to have even been taught the signs of what's happening to them.
You don't really think, is it going to happen to me? I know the signs, but do you?
We need to be able to educate people on the signs of exploitation. So, for example...
Not just children as well, educate people so people can see it happening.
One of the biggest signs is that their behaviour will change. They might become withdrawn, overly sexualised, and teachers and parents might dismiss it as, they're becoming a teenager, they're moody, they're becoming a bad kid, they're badly behaved. And actually that pushes them further and further away from the support that they need. The dream would be, like we said, to not have a job, because nobody's been exploited, because everyone knows what they're looking for. Everyone can support each other as well as protecting yourself.
The more people that are able to spot the signs, are able to raise concerns, the more people we prevent from being exploited in the future, and that is the ultimate goal.
Listen, if a guy likes you and you like him, don't overthink it, right? It's your body. You get to decide what happens.
I think it was interesting to see that perspective of the trust being built as well, rather than a more violent approach.
I think the fact that it is her auntie and it's someone that she trusts so strongly, and someone that she confides in and, aspires to be like, I think that's what makes it so sinister.
Well, I take the pain and the lies and the bruises and I slap them on like makeup. It's my armour. You've got armour too. I can see it, even if no one else can.
Normally it's people who have access to the children, so it's family or family friends, just because they can spend that time with the child.
Is it because the child feels that it's
they
safe?
Trust them.
Because
they're told to trust these adults. Your parents will say, that's your uncle, you can trust him, things like that. But also, grooming is building a relationship. It's just that the child thinks it's a positive one.
Yeah.
And they know their vulnerabilities. They know what's going to work on that kid.
Underneath all of this, the real Frankie is still in there. That tough little cookie that's going to leave this place for dust and conquer the world.
Yeah, well, everyone else around here just sees what I've been through.
Well, I know what you've been through.
When we started doing this storyline, I originally wasn't supposed to do it. I was supposed to go on and do a lighter storyline. And then our producer came and said, but Frankie's just got justice. Her brother's just been sent to prison. That's actually when she's at her most vulnerable.
Often, once you've been abused or exploited, you are vulnerable to it happening more than once. There's a range of reasons for that. It might be that the things that made you vulnerable to start with are still the case, so not having a supportive family unit, things like that. But in Frankie's case, she probably, because of her first experience of sex and sexual things, was so traumatic. that's probably how she views sex, it will be easier to convince her that what's happening is normal. So for instance, Grace will say things like, oh, you can take control now, because she knows the exploitation that she's been through before. She knows that she had no control.
Yeah. Do you really want to be like me? Well, you can either sit here like a mug and wait for Darren to show you a bit of respect, or you could rely on you and only you. And you could get up, you could walk out that door, and you could take back control. So, what's it gonna be? Knowing what you know now, if you could, what advice would you have given to your teenage self?
Not everyone's your friend.
Wow.
Yeah, not everyone's your friend.
You are doing so brave.
Oh my gosh, this never happens.
You're so brave. You are so brave.
Oh, I feel like an idiot. This never ever happens.
Don't you ever feel like that. Ever.
So sorry.
No, and you don't apologise either.
Thank you.
This is what you're doing is really brave, just talking about it to basically a complete stranger you're talking to who's dressed up like this with the most ridiculous lipstick on.
So why did you decide to publicly tell your story?
It was a real passion of mine that I wanted to break the silence and stigma around exploitation and just give everyone the power that they have a voice, they're not alone, and their past doesn't define their future, and healing is possible.
Even though it's horrible right now, there will be light again, and I've got the rest of my life to live. It's not over.
I felt a lot of shame, embarrassment, etc. And then I realised it's not really my shame to hold. It's not my embarrassment. For years, I felt like I couldn't talk because of the lifestyle that we're involved in, etc. You can't really, there's not much you can talk about. That was another invisible chain, the fact that you can't talk.
You were scared to talk to anyone about what was going on.
So now I just yap away.
Good.
You hear the worst of humanity, but you also see the best. So having someone overcoming that is just the most amazing thing. And 9 times out of 10, they come out as the most empathetic people that want to come back to Causeway and volunteer. So some days you're crying your eyes out because someone's told you the worst things, and then some days you're celebrating because they've got their first ever job or something like that. It's amazing. Brilliant.
I want to say thank you so much for coming in, for being so unbelievably brave.
Oh, bless you. Thanks for having me.
I think it's incredible what you're doing. Can I give you a hug?
Yes, please.
If you or anyone you know has been affected by the issues raised, please head to channel4.com/support-Hollyoaks for more information.